Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Kali Glover, also known as ColecoVision, and I'm doing a special today where we're going to go ahead and talk to Raven, the talk show Maven, because I want to provide you guys and get her expertise about why should you be thinking about doing interviews in trying to grow your home business. This is a new time now when everybody is trying to find different ways of securing their financial future and just, making sure their life is secure in general. And one of the things that I found and a lot of people are finding now is that there's more opportunities now than ever to set up something from a home-based business that you can control and you can go use to guide and supplement, even if you already have income or if you're doing everything from home. There's so many ways now, but one of the biggest and easiest ways to get started now, and also just to, if you're already doing it and you want to take it up to the next level, you got to know how to use a tool such as interviewing. And interviewing is a lot deeper. When people hear that term, they think about, the term interview, and then they think about, I got to be like Oprah or Barbara Walters or Larry King and people like that. There's all different sorts of levels of interviewing. And this is what I wanted to dig deeper into because while you can aspire to be people like that, there's all kinds of levels that can boost your business and boost your credibility and your visibility by dealing with people who are local experts in your neighborhood, in your niche, or in your business, or in whatever your career is, your industry. Those people are stars with a lot of information, and they don't have to be the big celebrities that you normally think of, like people that are in movies or whatever. So that's one of the things I wanted to get into. We're going to have Raven discuss a couple of reasons why doing it. One of the main things that I want to do is talk about why I do interviews today, and we're going to break this up into multiple tips. This is going to be a series. But today I want to talk about why I do interviews to grow your home business, and talk about a couple of things that can lead you to do that. But with that, I just want to introduce Raven, the talk show Maven, and welcome, Raven, and how are you doing today?
I am doing just awesome and so glad to be here. Can't wait to share.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, we're going to make this a short kind of tip. I want people to get right to some meat and everything. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do this, too, is Raven has a yearly event called Red Carpet Interview Secrets, and it's a live experience. And it's a live event that has all kinds of things based on interviews and learning how to do interviews. But that's not the only thing because, like I said, even though interviews is one tool, it can be broken down in many ways. And keep listening because you're going to find out, and keep listening to this series because you're going to find out many different ways that interviews can be used beyond what you normally think. It's not what you think in your head. You don't have to be Oprah and all that to make this massively grow your business year after year. Raven will be telling you as we go along her stories because she went from barely making what was basically a little more than a minimum wage to over a six-figure business from a home. I want you to imagine this, being able to wake up in the morning and walk across the floor, down the hall or whatever, put on a robe or decide not to if you want to, but you could just go ahead and have control of that because your business is literally feet away. Just picture how good that sounds to you and being able to do that. Wake up when you feel like it, get it going, control what your message is, and know that you have something that you can rely on month after month to keep you stable and secure and keep your family safe and secure. Okay, so Raven, interviews, we learned from a man named Alex Mendozian. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that caught your ear, and it is something also that resonated with me, is doing interviews is one of the easiest and fastest, simplest ways that you can go ahead to become an expert yourself, even if you're starting from scratch. And if you're already an expert, it's one of the best ways to build your credibility. But I want you to dig in and tell people why. Because of your journey, you literally heard that message and then took action and moved from where you were to where you are now. Kind of tell them what they need to be knowing about this.
As far as the story, or
well, just as far as why should they be thinking about doing interviews to kick off their home business?
Well, to be simple, make it really simple, it will definitely change your life and skyrocket wherever you are in your business, because you're borrowing from other people's success and credibility. When you're interviewing the experts, like Alex said, the quickest way to become an expert is to interview the experts. And as you know, colleague, when you interview the other experts, you basically are raising your credibility a lot. I mean, people look at you as almost equal to the person that you're interviewing. They're carrying a great conversation with you, and they make you look good. They're making it sound like you guys go way back, and you don't. You may not never speak to them again, but they're definitely skilled in handling interviews, and they make you look good. And so, of course, everybody wants to be hook their wagon to you, because they're like, oh my goodness, her and Lisa Nichols, wow, she knows Lisa. Well, she's got to be all that and then some. And before you know it, you find that you're getting more clients, more people reaching out to you, more people saying yes to your offer, simply because you've raised your credibility so much by interviewing a icon expert.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And what that does as well is it gets you, okay, well, I want to address something, first of all, that a lot of people may think as far as why not interview. A lot of people, some people think that interviews, you can't really make any money with it, or they're just interviews. It's that you're not really the expert because you're interviewing somebody else. But I want to tell you that if you've been thinking that, that's wrong. It's a big mistake, a huge myth that doing interviews will not benefit your credibility, because see, first of all, think of the biggest interviewer out there right now, Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. She made her whole career based on doing that. She's not an expert on everything that she interviews people about, but it sure did help. So, that's the huge thing. But just taking it down to even a local level or a niche level, an industry or a career level, how can something like that happen? Maybe give somebody an example of. Well, let's take you, for example. You started out, and like I said, something kicked you into gear to get going. So your first interview that you decided to put a target on was somebody that normally, you had known about that person, but you decided to kick into action. So I want you to kind of lead people through to see how they can use the same mentality that you had to get somebody, whether it's in your niche or just in your dreams.
Okay. I love that question. First, I started out interviewing ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And it was a friend of my sister's, Brenda Graff, with 6 Who Get Laundry. She was an author of that book. And then I would ask her, well, who else do you know? And that's kind of how I began my interview journey, asking every single person at the end of the interview, who else do you know that would love to come on and share their story to our baby boomer women on, how they got from their pain, from their power. So that is one tip I want to pass on right away.
And let me step in there too. Those of you that are listening to us right now, I want you to write that down, because that was huge what she said. Don't listen passively. Write it down, because you want to know who do you already know, and then when you talk to them, who else do they know, as well.
Yeah, it made it very, very easy for me to get guests without me having to go out and look. So, I think it's really weird, because I'm just now really thinking about that. But it did make my journey a lot easier, because I already had a person that had said yes, and especially if they complimented me on the interview. There were a couple things I did right away. Number one, I got a testimonial from them. Would you mind saying that on a testimonial about your experience on my show? And then the other thing, oh, by the way, who else do you know that would be open to coming on and sharing their story or sharing tips as well? And I got so good at that I decided, wow, that was pretty easy. Maybe I'm going to ask them for 3 people. So I would say, hey, do you mind, I never said do you mind, are you open to giving me 3 names that would be open, of people that may be open on coming on my show. And in exchange for that, as a way of saying thank you for doing the interview, and also, referring people, I love to gift you with a commercial. Anytime you have a product launch or something going on, I'm your media gal. Just let me know, and you can record the commercial or write it, and we'll get one of our engineers to record it, and we will air it for as long as you need to air it. And that's how I began to get people to really start giving me more names. So I would tell people, start out with one, get comfortable with that, because it is an art when you start asking for more than one. But I did it because I see that it worked. And so eventually I looked and I said, wow, I was looking at my roster and I'm like, okay, I'm getting good at doing these interviews. And I started looking at other podcasters or people that had internet radio shows, looking at the people they were interviewing. And I noticed that people were pretty much interviewing people in their circle. It was almost like the same people were being interviewed on different shows. And I was like, well, that's good, but I need to do something that's going to make me pop. I need to do something that's going to make me different. I need to skyrocket what I'm doing and to really let people know, hey, she's got something different here. This isn't just another radio show. Mm-hmm. And that's when I made up my vision board. And Jane Kennedy was on there, let's see, Montel Williams was on there, Jack Canfield, of course, Mark Victor Hansen. I looked around at the books that I read, Cynthia Kersey, Les Brown, and those are the people that I put on my vision board. I always was a huge fan of Jane Kennedy, who was a huge actress back in the day, in the 80s, and she was kind of like the Halle Berry back then. So I got online and I Googled, and I found someone that said that had a picture of her and him and the family, and they claimed to be her cousin. So I wrote to him and I said, hey, I ran across your website. I see that you were with Jane, and I've always been a big fan from Jane. She was from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. And I have this show. It empowers baby boomer women to go for their dreams and visions. Would you be open to giving this email? And I had a letter right up in the lower part of the email. I said, I wrote something to her. Would you be open to forwarding it to her? And he did. He did. He wrote me about 3 weeks later and said, thank you. I sent the email to Jane, and I kid you not, no sooner than I exit out of his email, pop. And that was back then in the You Got Mail days. And it was Jane. She emailed me and said, hey,
What did you yell? Because I know you yelled something.
Oh my! I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even yell. I was in shock. She said, "Hey, homie," because remember I made mention that I was from Cleveland, so she says, "Hey, homie," and she gave me like her number, a couple phone numbers on her address, and all this information. But it was very exciting to get that, and I remember vividly that after I sent that email to him, because I was just beginning to listen to The Secret, and it was, how The Secret is talking about, just attracting what you want. So I cut out a picture of Jane and the other people they were on my vision board, but I also cut it out and I put it like close to my desk. Up under because back then I had like those mats that you have on your desk, and I put the pictures up under my desk too. So they were on the wall and they were on my desk. And for some there, I was just, starting to visualize and attract. And when that came in, that's the first thing I thought about. I pulled that picture out and I put it, I'm like, got it. But one key thing I want to pass on is I asked Jane in the interview, what made her say yes. And she said, when she got the email, the first thing she did was she went to my website, womenpower-radio.com, and she clicked on About to find out about me. And there happened to be an interview on there where someone was interviewing me about my story and my why. And that's what made her say yes. So now when I'm speaking all over, I always tell people that if you do not have an interview of you on your About page, you should. Because a lot of people will do business with you once they know your why and know, why it's important to you. People don't care about, how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep. And, you had a lot of great little tips in there. We're going to go deeper into that. those of you that are listening, if you're in the Los Angeles area and you want to attend the Red Carpet Interview Secrets event, this would be something where you can get real deep dish training in some of these techniques. But those of you that are just listening, and no matter where you are across the world, you should be writing some of this stuff down and imagine yourself in the same place too, because think about Raven had to start and figure something out. Some of you may be coming here new, and some of you may already know her story. But basically, she faced a very big challenge where she had to step up for her mother and the family. And when you're forced into something, when your back is against the wall, and it's like, I've got to make something happen, you start thinking in all kinds of ways of, well, how can I do this? What are my resources? So we're focusing on now, why do interviews? And this was truly, even though you hear that statement or whatever, we've got living proof here that if you start out doing something like that, it can take and skyrocket where you are to where you want to be, without it being a hard sell to anybody, because other people want to share their message and spread their message, including celebrities. A lot of people are afraid to ask celebrities or big business people or people that have made breakthroughs. Raven just simply got the courage to ask a few people, and then you've heard of 6 degrees of separation out there. So usually if you know somebody, or usually if you know somebody, they know somebody that can eventually get you there to connected to where you want to be. Start small with people but always start helpful,
Mm-hmm. And starting small is a key to it. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. Just go out there and start interviewing the icons right away. And let me tell you why. Because you do need to be ready for them, because most of the time you only get that one chance. And there are a couple interviews that I did, and to be honest, I wasn't ready for that person. I may not never get that opportunity. I'm glad I did those interviews, but when I go back and listen to them, they were by far not my best interviews, and I wish that I could do them again, and I probably will go over at least go for it. So you want to get some people up under your belt, and you want to get, as I call it, Oprah ready or Montel ready or Jack Canfield ready. And you can do that by interviewing other people and really getting the skills of interviewing so that you can come off strong. The interviews I did that I wasn't that happy with, I had been doing interviews for a while, so to other people, they probably don't look them as bad. But when I look at them, it's like, oh my goodness, I was nowhere, and I didn't handle it the way that I know how to handle it now. So sometimes it's best just to ask a question and zip it. And then sometimes it's good to ask a question and drip little bits of your expertise in there. But you got to be careful with that, because you don't want to overdo it to where you have the guest sitting on the other side saying, oh, she did want me to come, didn't she? So you got to be careful with it. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that they will learn at the Red Carpet Interview Secrets. These are the things that they learn in our training, and because most people think, I can just ask a question and that we get to communicating and having a conversation, and it gets to be too much of a conversation. It may be interesting to you and the guest, but the listeners are like bored, or either, it's just turning into too much of a conversation. So I'm a big believer in having a conversation during your interviews, but also I kind of tell people, be careful with that word conversation, because before you know, you're talking about your dogs and all this other stuff that the listeners, they really want the nitty gritty. You know that, Khalik, right? Don't you feel the same way?
Yes.
It's like, come on, get on with it. My time is short. I came here to get the insider secrets to something, and you guys are talking about weather and the last time you seen each other. Can y'all talk about that on your time?
Yeah, and that's a huge lesson for everybody, myself included. I stumbled into doing interviews just to kind of do it like the experience that I had when I was working in the studio and getting to hang out with a lot of superstars, but it was kind of by accident, so I never really set out to do interviews. I know you always kind of wanted to do something, with either radio as a DJ or things like that, as far as you had the star thing, where I was always wanting to be kind of behind the scenes
yeah.
and just hang out. And so I got a chance to do that a lot of times with people behind the scenes.
I know Michael Jackson. I'm so jealous. One of my favorite folks.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, like you said, you got to strike a balance between just having an ordinary conversation, because people want to kind of feel like they're just kind of hanging out with you to some extent, but also you want to pull out some value for other people. So this is why another reason why doing interviews is ultimately to provide value for everybody that's taking the time to listen and speak about it. Your guest wants to feel that their time has been valuable, so when they talk, it helps somebody or it spreads their message or whatever the goal was. It's good for you, and then it's good for the listener as well, because they don't feel like they're wasting their time just hearing a bunch of fluff.
Yeah, well, listeners are hungry for information. They really are. I mean, they're taking the time to listen to you. There's so many radio stations, podcasts, teleseminar, whatever your platform, Google Hangout, video shows or TV shows that they can be listening to. So you have to keep in mind, why should they take the time to listen to me? And you have to give them what you promise. And they're not coming to hear you guys just, kicking it around. A little humor, a little personalization, a little conversation is good. But, give them the meat. Especially up front, give them the meat. And then, you can kind of kick back and laugh a little bit, then back in the meat. Don't get so relaxed that you forget that there are people listening, and they came because you sent out an email or you got on the phone or however you let them know, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you did, to say, hey, I'm interviewing Les Brown, and Les Brown's going to be talking about, how to have a home-based business in today's times and really soar. He's going to be sharing some secrets. They're coming to hear those secrets. They're coming to hear Les. They are not coming to hear you. You just happen to be the person to interview them. I mean, just think about it. Even with Oprah, we started out because Oprah was having all these interesting topics on, and we wanted to hear about the topic. And still today, I love Oprah. Yeah, she's definitely one of my sheroes, but I'm looking at who her guest is, and if I want to hear from the guest. Okay. And then I want to hear from the guest. And if you notice one thing Oprah does not do, she does not sit up there and take over. She does a little bit, and then she zips it and gives it to them.
Yep, absolutely. And, okay, well, we're going to cut this one short. So you guys that are listening right now, I want you to keep checking back, because this is a series we're going to be doing. We got a lot of more great material that'll tell you why. We're also going to be mixing in some tips. We're going to show you how to avoid some landmines that are out there if you decide to start doing interviews. But this is something that I think can work for anybody. Me being a musician, a recording and mixing engineer, making music and everything, I even found out that it worked for me, and I purely stumbled into it by accident, because being an engineer, I just talked with other people who were stars in my industry, of the music industry, not the stars that you see on the front of the stage, but the stars behind the scenes that help people make the music. So even though I may have worked with Michael Jackson, I didn't get to talk to Michael Jackson as far as interviewing him or anything like that before he passed, but I did get a chance to talk to, like, say, for example, some of his engineers. I got hired by, his engineers and people like that, and even working with somebody like the great Teddy Riley, who is the producer of Bad, the Bad album, and Dangerous and stuff like that. I got a chance to work with these people and talk and interview them purely by accident. So I want you to think and consider, we're going to respect your time today and move on, but on the next one, we're going to be talking about some tips on how you can find some of the people and discern who to go for at first. It's got to be a strategic thing, because like Raven was saying, don't start immediately trying to go to the top. You got to work your way up to it as far as the practice, getting smooth, getting comfortable. But once you know you got your swagger going on, then that, okay, I can call and if Oprah calls today, I could talk to her, because I'm comfortable and cool. Experts recognize right away when you're not ready, when you're winging it and stuff like that. We're going to talk about stuff like that, how to not wing it and other things like that. So, Raven, I'm going to let you wrap it up here with maybe giving them one big. Let's help them avoid a landmine that's out there. What's one great thing that they should avoid right away when they want to go off on this journey to start trying to figure out who to interview and how to build and grow their home business? What's one thing they should definitely avoid starting out?
One of the biggest things you can avoid, and a huge landmine that's easy to step on, is making it all about you.
Yeah.
You can't make it all about you. You have to put your listeners first and your guests second. Because even when you go out to get that guest, don't make it all about you. If it's not a fit for the listeners, then it's not a fit for your platform. And that's a huge landmine to avoid. I know I had to learn that the hard way, because I got so good at asking, Khalik. I would just ask whoever I wanted. If they say yes, it was going on the show. And it wasn't necessarily a fit, and you could just see your people opting it out of your list. Because I remember one time I had a guest on that I wanted on, just had to have her on, and it was a business expert, and she was on Women Power. And Women Power was to help to empower women to go for their dreams and visions no matter what. It was not business related. It was a uplifting encouragement, get through abuse, get through your pain, that type of show. And the women loved it. They needed that. They had their business choices. They weren't coming for that. And I started seeing people just drop off. But I wanted to interview. So I learned to don't step on that landmine. And what I decided to do was create products and invite the people that I wanted. Created products around the icons that I wanted. And that way I could interview anybody I want. And we'll go deeper into that on one of the other series. Yeah,
exactly. Creating products is a big thing from interviews. We're going to dig into, here's a couple of things that are coming up. We're going to also dig into the different types of interviews, because normally when you say that word interview, people think of somebody standing like a reporter with a microphone and getting a press conference, or being a news pundit and you got somebody on there. Those are different types, but, there's a whole lot more different types of interviews out there. And we got one that's very powerful, and it's called the hidden interview secret that we're going to tell you guys about later. It ain't right now, but keep listening. Come back and check us out later, because this one is as powerful as some of the things that she's already told you, and we're going to tell you. We're probably going to save that one for last, because it's the most powerful that you could ever imagine, because everybody's kind of, the people that are in the know and insiders, they kind of keep this one a little close, and they don't let a lot of people know about this. When we recently found out about this and the techniques behind it, it is massively powerful. Could even be dangerous in the wrong hands or whatever. But we're going to share that with you guys. In the meantime, I want to wrap this up and say we have Red Carpet Interview Secrets, the live experience event is coming up soon. What is those dates? Tell them a little bit about it. And I also want to mention the website. Go to redcarpetinterviewsecrets.com if you are interested and you happen to be in the LA area.
Yeah, the redcarpetinterviewsecrets.com. Go there now and check it out. It's going to be on June 17th, 18th, and 19th. So that's a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at the beautiful Renaissance Hotel at LAX. 3-day live event. And we're going to be breaking it down for the first time, as you know, colleague. We're going to break out our Trinity interview process and show the attendees how they can become a triple threat in their industry, whatever industry it is, simply by doing interviews, the host interview, the guest interview, and the client interviews. And I can't wait. This is the first time that I've ever taught all three together, and I don't know of anyone else that have put the three of these together and merge them together. And I'm just excited to roll this out, and people are going to love it. And just go to redcarpetinterviewsecrets.com and be sure to look at where it says, here are 7 reasons why doing interviews can change your life and business, because Khalik and I are going to be taking some of those 7 reasons in the next few series and breaking them down for you. We want you there. It's going to be nice. And we're going to have the Red Carpet Awards Night, where we'll be presenting the prestigious Emily Awards to Amazing Women of Power, Mary Smith Moore, Host of the Year, and Amazing Men of Power, Joe Burrows, Host of the Year. So we're going to have some fun, too. I'm excited.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Well, all right, guys. That'll be all for now, but you want to listen to us on the next one, where we're going to be digging deeper into the Trinity interview process, some of the insider parts of that, and it's going to be really, really informative and helpful. Whether you can come to the event or not, you're going to want to know this information because it can help you grow your own business right away. You want to be able to wake up and go in your robe into the next room and make money.
Right. And since we told them they can wake up, you can go and catch me every morning.
Yep.
Where I'll be delivering a little bits of pieces of content.
On Raven's
content
radio network.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and give it to
them. AmazingWomenOfPower.com, AmazingWomenOfPower.com, and click on the flash and on your banner, and you'll hear me every morning with Rock Your Radio and Interview Talk to Cash radio show. Can't wait.
All right, guys.
Monday through Friday. Okay.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up, and we'll see you on the next one.
RedCarpetInterviewSecrets.com. Go there now. Yeah.